What's going on, everyone? So, Jimmy Butler is officially off the market, according to Pat Riley himself. Made a whole statement yesterday. And the question now becomes, in my opinion, is what do these other teams do? Right? Because you had teams like Phoenix, the Warriors, the Thunder were even murmured, Houston, Spurs, right? You had all these teams that were kind of linked and murmured to have some interest and maybe really make a push to go and land a Jimmy Butler. And now, Jimmy Butler isn't available. I still don't buy that he's not available. I just think they haven't gotten the offers. Teams aren't willing to kind of make the offers that would be necessary to convince them. If the right offer comes along, I think that they would trade Jimmy. But like if OKC comes and they're like, we'll give you J-Dub and 4 firsts for Jimmy Butler, you don't think Miami's going to be like, all right, here you go, right? Of course they would. Now, obviously, I don't want or expect or would think that. I'm just using that as an extreme example. But you could see if the right deal was there, I do think Miami would still trade Jimmy Butler. Again, I mentioned it before when I did the video talking about the announcement, right? We've heard teams talk about this guy is this, our guy for life. Like DeMar DeRozan is probably the most famous example, right? Where, ownership and the GM and everybody were literally at a press conference talking about how DeMar DeRozan is our guy and he's Mr. Toronto. And then like a week later, he's traded to to the Spurs, right? Now, it was for Kawhi Leonard, but still, like the point is that like they made this promise, said he's off the no, we're never going to trade him. And then now he's being traded and shipped out. So again, just because Pat Riley says we're not trading him doesn't mean that it won't happen. We've heard this story, seen this script a million times, and more often than not, it changes rather quickly. It's the NBA, right? But what do these other teams do, right? I think that now a lot of them are going to pivot, or I think just kind of hold firm, right? Teams like the Spurs, the Rockets, the Thunder, I think they'll probably hold firm. Now, the Thunder do have interest in a Cam Johnson. I do think Cam Johnson makes some sense, but do you really want to overpay for a Cam Johnson, or would you rather kind of go all in for that piece that really makes sense, right? I do think Cam Johnson would make them a lot better. I think that, Cam Johnson could end up being that piece, but do you kind of, like if you're the Thunder, I think you'd be patient. Right, you're not in a rush. Somebody else gets, like if the Warriors go and get him, right? Reports came out that the Warriors are favored to land him. If that happens, I think if you're the Thunder, you just kind of go, all right, sucks, but there will be another guy tomorrow type thing, right? I think these young teams need to continue to stay the course and wait for the right piece. Thunder, Spurs, Rockets, like these teams, I genuinely believe are on the right path. Stick to the script. Don't divert. And wait for that right piece, that right move, that right trade to come along. Yes, a team like the Thunder, they could overpay. They could give 5 firsts and whatever else for Cam Johnson and still have the most assets in the league, right? But is that really the best place to allocate? At some point, you're going to have to start making tough decisions, tough calls. You're going to have to start unloading stuff, right? You can't have 5 draft picks coming onto your team every season, right? So at some point, Thunder are going to have to make a decision, but I think that they're not in that spot yet. So again, be patient, let things develop, trust Sam Presti and the process, so to speak. Houston, I've never liked the idea of that. But do they now go pivot, right? Do they go look to go get a Kyle Kuzma? I think if you're these other teams that are selling these guys, like a Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, a Cam Johnson, I think you're just like, good, Jimmy's not on the market. Guess what, everyone? The price just went up, right? Because it's like, especially the Nets with Cam Johnson, and as good of a season as he is having, and teams like the Warriors that are desperate and need to kind of make a decision here, like which direction, which path are they going to go, right? Like, I really do think that those teams are the teams that need to, all right, fine, like, what do you want for Cam Johnson? What will it take for us to land Cam Johnson? And I think if you're the Nets, if you wanted 2 firsts, it's 3, right? If you wanted 3 firsts, it's 4. You can always come down, right? Like you can always find a middle ground. But I just think it's like, hey, well, there's no Jimmy. It's not getting a Jimmy. We have the best guy on the market now, right? Like Brandon Ingram, arguably is probably the best player available, but with his injury concerns and just the the money he wants, and there's a lot of like kind of factors that go into Brandon Ingram that you're kind of like, yeah, like it's probably the best option, but it's also probably not the best option. So I just think if you're a team like the Warriors, you're kind of in a rock and a hard place here, because it's just like teams know you need to do something, right? Because what are you going to do? You have Steph. You really going to waste another year of Steph Curry, right? He only has so many years left. Are you going to look to go trade Steph Curry now that Jimmy Butler's on the market? Like, what other star is there? Or do you go and make that push and go get a Cam Johnson, maybe go get a Brandon Ingram, and just hope that that's enough to put you over the top? Maybe that's enough to really get something done, right? Do you kind of just push your chips in and try to go make a big play, try to go make a big splash? I mean, possibly, but it also could just be that you can't get anything done and you don't overpay. And look, the Warriors have been very reluctant on like trying to trade, their young guys like, Kuminga and Moody and Pod and all these guys. So, do the Warriors look at that? Team like Sacramento, who's been interested in Cam Johnson, Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, who they should have gotten in the offseason instead of DeMar DeRozan. But they foolishly thought DeMar DeRozan was the idea. DeMar DeRozan was the guy. That's the guy we needed to get. And it was silliness. But they are probably in worse spot now. They're probably in more trouble than ever, because it's like, now what do you do? Right? I mean, Minnesota, right? Like some of these teams that need kind of like a little change and could use like a legit 3-and-D wing, the price, I think, just went up for those guys most likely. I think that these teams, Lakers, right? My Lakers badly need a 3-and-D wing. Cam Johnson, Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, something like that, right? And guess what? I think now all these teams that were focused on Jimmy Butler and we're like, we need to go get Jimmy Butler, are all going to shift their attention to these guys over here, right? The shiny toy is gone. The shiny, fancy toy that everyone wanted, it's gone now. So, okay, well, now what do we do? Okay, well, look at these toys over here, right? Yeah, they're not shiny, but hey, man, they're great to play with, right? Like, they still operate the same. They still can help us, right? Keep us entertained. So, do they go and kind of pivot in that direction, right? So you have now this like group of teams that all want kind of like this small pool now of guys. And there isn't that big shiny toy that, teams like the Warriors and the Thunder and some of these other teams may be kind of interested in. So I do think Jimmy Butler going off the market changes a lot. Because even if Jimmy Butler was never going to be traded, right? Let's say the Heat really weren't planning on trading Jimmy, but they never addressed the rumors. That's like everyone's still falling all over themselves to try to go get Jimmy and maybe get something done here, right? Like until it's actually like, pen to paper, so to speak, it's still, the assumption is still there that, he can be had. He is available. So let's go make that move. Let's be patient. Hey, you know what? Miami doesn't want to do it now, but maybe in a week they will. 2 weeks, right? That's just drawing out time for all these other teams where, another team could have maybe came in and swooped in and grabbed a guy or two. Well, now that Jimmy Butler's off, you got teams, like I said, the Thunder, the Warriors, that they really need to kind of push their chips in. Not so much the Thunder, but, could look to push their chips in to go get one of these kind of higher end guys. Well, now that higher end guy's gone, so now do they go for like the mid-tier guys? And like, what's the next available? Okay, it's Cam Johnson. Well, if Cam Johnson goes to the Thunder, well, now the Warriors are going to go, what's the next guy, right? And just, you're going to have these teams dropping down the list. So the teams like the Kings and the Lakers and these other teams that are very limited on, the Suns, that are very limited on what they have as far as assets and players and stuff like that they can send out to maybe go get a trade done. I think they're going to be potentially stuck holding the bag, right? That's why I even talked like on my Laker channel that I think Lakers need to pivot into a different direction. Instead of focusing on these 3-and-D wings, if you can get one, great. But, they have other needs, like very clear needs. They could go and kind of pivot to those other needs. But it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this trade deadline kind of plays out. Or, a month and a half, a little less, month and a couple weeks before it's all over. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think a team like the Thunder and the Warriors and all these teams that were active and after Jimmy Butler. Where do you think that they should go? Where do you think that they should pivot? Do you think that this hurts other teams? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.